Satyabama Institute of Science and Technology.
Hello all, this is Dr. Priya Kumari, Assistant Professor, Satyabama College of Physiotherapy. In this video, I am going to talk about balance and coordination and gait assessment. I will be covering about the introduction, what is balance assessment, coordination, gait assessment, bowel and bladder, and functional assessment, finally the treatment and follow-up. Now balance assessment. Balance, as we know, it is of two types, static as well as dynamic, and the balance assessment is being done in the lying position. Both static and dynamic is being checked, sitting balance is being checked, and standing. There are various tools to check the balance of the patient, and those tools are like Berg balance scale, timed up 10 time go test, functional reach test, nudge test, and other tests like Hallpix Dix test. Now Berg balance scale, I will be just discussing about one in brief. Total score in Berg balance is 56. Decrease in score increases the risk fall. Score of 56 to 54, like 1 point drop, is 3 to 4% increased fall risk. Each point drop from 54 to 46 indicates 6 to 8% increase in risk fall. Below 36, if the score is, that means there are 100% chances of risk fall. Now what is the limitation of this tool? That it does not test reactive balance. Now coordination test. For coordination, most commonly we'll be using the Frankel's test, which includes the equilibrium and non-equilibrium tests. In this, the patient is positioned and suitably clothed so that the positioning should be in such a way that patient can see the movements. Patient must give attention to perform the exercise. Speed of exercise is dictated by the therapist. Range of motion is being indicated by marking the spots on which the foot or hand has to be placed. Exercise is repeated till it's perfect and easy. Frequent rest periods must be allowed and given to the patient. Now there are certain principles. When we give the Frankel's exercise, we need to follow those principles, and they are concentration or attention of the patient is required. Then precision of the movement, repetition of the movements is very important. For example, as you can see in the picture, the tapping of the foot, or there are markings done on the floor, and then the patient is being asked to put the lower limb on those marks made. Then comes the gait assessment. In the gait, we need to check about the both the spatial and temporal components, the cadence, gait velocity, stride length, whether the patient is having toe to heel pattern, reciprocal arm swing is present or not, abnormal gait pattern. Now gait, first to assess the gait cycle clarity has to be there, that it includes your stance phase and swing phase. Stand phase, there are components, and swing phase, the components are there. We can document in the tabular form where we can write down what are the existing components present in the gait assessment and what are the missing components or unwanted components. Now all the documentation of spatial and temporal components should be done thoroughly. Gait analysis, the kinematic and the kinetic analysis has to be done. Now bowel and bladder. So again, the neurological patients, most commonly they may have this kind of urinary incontinence problem where the loss of bladder control. Urinary incontinence may occur because of the loss of bladder control, which leads to unintentional passing of urine. It can be because stress incontinence, urge incontinence, or overflow incontinence. Stress incontinence, like sneezing, coughing, or laughing loudly, these activities, or lifting something very heavy, these objects can lead to the leakage of the urine. Then functional assessment. Now since if the patient is neurologically affected, day-to-day functional activities might be affected, and to know the level of dependence is very important. So the scales which we use for functional assessment are FIM scale, Gordon's functional health pattern, Card's index of independence, and Barthel index. Now FIM scale I am going to discuss here. It consists of 18 items grouped in 2 subscales, motor and cognition. Each item is scored on a 7-point ordinal scale, ranging from a score of 1 to a score of 7. The higher the score, the more independent the person is. And you can see there are different categories, like for example self-care, the activities like eating, grooming, bathing, dressing, toileting, these activities are there. Sphincter control, transfers, locomotion, communication, social cognition, all these components are being marked. and the total score is being taken. Depending on the score, if there is a 7, if you get a score of 7, that means complete independence. 6 is modified independence or helper modified dependence. 5th is supervision is required 100%. 4th is minimal assistance required. 3 is moderate assistance is required to the patient. 2 is maximal assistance is required, and 1 is total assistance is required, or it is not testable. Now the total score for FIM, the motor subscale, sum of individual motor subscale items will be valued between 13 and 91. Cognition subscale, the sum of the individual cognitive subscale items will be valued between 5 and 35. The total score of the FIM instrument, the motor and cognitive, will be valued between 18 and 126. Once the functional assessment is being done, then we can do special tests based on the conditions. For example, nerve compression test, slump test. These are special tests which to further confirm the diagnosis which will be doing. Then investigatory procedures or whatever the investigatory documents are there, like blood report, CT scan, MRI, those things has to be checked, and based on that differential diagnosis can be done. And further, with matching with the reports we have, we can conclude to the common one final diagnosis. Once the diagnosis is being done, now it's time to set the goals, and there comes the role of the physiotherapist to break down the goals into the short-term goal and the long-term goal. Short-term goals are nothing but which has to be achieved within a short period of time and which is of the high priority, and long-term goals will be set according to like, for example, if the patient, you have to make the patient to walk independently, it will take some time. So or the joint range of movement has to be improved, so that will take some time. That can be a long-term goal. But pain reduction, which requires immediate attention, and that can be under the short-term goal. Then according to the goals set, we can have the physiotherapy management plan, and once the patient we have started with the treatment, for the very important component of the assessment is the home advice. We need to instruct the patient what are the do's and don'ts, what they should do at home and what has to be strictly not to be followed at home. And final comes the last part of the assessment is the follow-up. Frequent follow-up of the patients is very important as it gives us the feedback about the patient's status and what has to be done next, or what is the improvement of the patient. Thank you.